To some extent, the capital labor mobility, the factor movements have an indicator of economic integration. On capital size, measurement is more difficult because there are several ways to measure capital flows. The most basic distinction is between the flow of financial market representing papers such as stock, bonds, currencies, bank accounts, and flow of capital representing physical assets such as real estate, factories, businesses. The later type of capital flow is called foreign direct investment or FDI. That is to some extent the distinction between the two types of capital flow is immaterial because both represent shift in wealth across nation borders and both make one nation's savings available to others. International capital flow differs from century ago. The 2 points I mentioned here uh, can be noticed. First is the savings and investments are highly correlated. That is easy and straightforward. Next is technological improvement increased capital flow in the 1800s. That is the In terms of the quantity, the size of capital flows today are much larger because economies are larger. A qualitative difference exists for many countries without much quality difference changes. That can see as the more instruments available and the role of foreign exchange transactions has changed. So in 1900, countries have fixed the exchange rate, and firms in international trade or finance have less day-to-day risk from sudden change in the value of foreign currency. But in current era, the situation totally changed. According to the Bank for the International Settlement in Ghana, Switzerland's daily foreign exchange transactions in 2010 were equal to 3.98 trillion US dollars. That has totally changed at the last era of fixed exchange rate ended in 1973. The cost of foreign financial transactions have fallen significantly. The definition of costs of obtaining market information, negotiating an agreement, and enforcing the agreement. A feature of contemporary international economic relations can be pointed on the three three elements that are deeper integration and multinational organizations and regional trade agreements are those three features. The deeper integration is the import tariffs, that is the taxes on imports and other barriers, that is quotas. The quantitative restrictions on imports are barriers of countries to imports of goods which are much less restrictive than they were in the middle of 20th century. The reduction of tariffs and the element of quotas is referred as shadow integration. As the trade barrier calmed down during second half of this last century, two other trends show that the first is that most countries have domestic policies that are obstacles to international trade. However, the negotiation over those domestic policies that impact international trade is referred as deep integration. The country's policy became more important because the merchandise are produced nationwide, worldwide. Not some some products are produced in different components, but those components produced in different countries. That may necessitate the negotiation in the different countries' domestic policy. The fact that technological complicated goods such as the electronic devices, as made and automobiles are examples. Those makes the label of the made in one sole country becomes more meaningless. The trends raise new issues that shaping the world economy in 21st century. First is the greater interest in the consequences of different domestic policies makes the trade negotiation more difficult. The second is the greater participation in the production of single products by firms in multi countries brings about the impact of trade on national economies, economics, development, employment, working conditions, which feature the international economics with nation and international dialogues on those issues in the 21st century. There are many multilateral organizations were founded by the developed countries alliance international to maintain international economic and political stability at the end of World War II, including International Monetary Fund or IMF or World Bank, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade GATT, and the United Nations or UN or World Trade Organization or WTO. That it began operation in 1995 and it grew from the GATT. They play an important and growing role in managing the issue of shallow and deeper integration. Next is the regional trade agreements become an important feature in the new era. The number of RTAs significantly increased in the last 20 years. In addition to the free trade agreement and other forms of preferential trade existing in the history, for example, the North American Free Trade Agreement or FTA, the European Union, and our EU are Makoto Kuda MERCOSUR. That's is in Northern America and Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation or APEC. And China is the member of some of the last one APEC. Well, how we study the international economics, we measure trade and economic growth. Although the trade impacts somehow negatively on economic growth, economists agree on three kinds of evidences that trade benefit economic growth. The, some the casual empirical evidence of historical experience. That is, we use historical data to analyze and draw conclusion. as just noted for the historical records. And second is the evidence based on economic model and deductive reasoning. And the reasoning is inductive reasoning is draw a conclusion of principle from observed evidence. And deductive reasoning is plain or forecast evidence from principle. International economics used based on economic models and import data to the model to get the deductive conclusion about the future of historical results. Evidences from the statistical comparison of countries. The statistical evidence of benefits of more open economies come from comparison of large sample of countries over different periods. The test of relationship between trade policy and growth suffer from their own technology shortcomings. Some results consistently show that more open economy grow faster. The result can't be absolutely conclusive, but together the trade policy and the cashier evidence drawn from historic experience show that the additional support for the nation that trade is beneficial. At last, I will talk about the things in international trade. First is the gains from trade and new